there's something that I have seen kind of coming up in a lot of these videos where I think it was like RGT85. This was a couple of years ago, I think. I saw this video. It's called The Retro Problem. Yeah, and like all of these people were dropping these videos in response. This was, I guess, a year ago. Like, it was RGT, it was the Lady Decade. The Red Cow Arcade guys did sort of a more so. Man, my throat. I don't know what's going on. More so than like contributing to the conversation or like agreeing with the conversation. There was more of like a critical take on the conversation itself, which I thought was great, actually. Because all of these videos, and Scott the Woz talked a little bit about it in his video. I guess like the retro problem that they're talking about is that there's like this elitism online where in these retro spaces, I guess, and he was talking about like on a Facebook group, but like in these retro spaces, there's like this elitism where people are making like these really, I guess like ugly statements and stuff about like, if you're not playing something on original hardware, then you're not like a real retro gamer, and it all like stemmed from apparently somebody posted a video, like a photo or a video or something of their kids playing a retro game, but it was like on a, what is it? What it's like the Retro Duo or something like that. Like one of those like emulation hardware machines. And like people were like posting stuff and basically calling him out and saying like, oh, he's not a real gamer, or what kind of a dad is he, and all that kind of stuff. One, I mean, if somebody's doing that, like that, yeah, that's messed up and it's not right and it's stupid. But secondly, like, is this like as much of an, maybe I've been out of the space for a long time. A lot of things have changed. I totally get that. But is this as much of an epidemic as people are making it out to be? Like, what spaces are people in where there is this like elitism or this commentary that if you don't play on real hardware, then suddenly you're like, I don't know, that you're like not a real gamer? Like, it seems like a non problem, I guess, to me. I haven't experienced it, so maybe that's part of it. And I guess I don't frequent some of these groups or like subreddits that these people are on. So maybe it really is a big issue, but like, I just have never experienced anything like that. And so to like put it out here as like it's some big epidemic or big problem seems strange to me. And in these videos, the things that they say is like, oh, you know, the prices of retro game, like grading games. Yeah, that's a problem, but that's not the problem. Or like, the prices nowadays of the games on the retro market. Like, yeah, sure, that's a problem, but it's not the problem. And I'm like, in some ways, I actually would completely 100% disagree with you. I think that the idea of grading games and the way that the resale market is nowadays, we used to have a problem with it back in the day when we started Retro Hunters. Resellers were not cool because essentially what they did is they scooped up all the games and then upped the prices so that they could make a buck on it, but they didn't, and in doing so, they made it less possible for people to get into the scene and for people to experience it. Like, yes, emulation was a thing, and it still is to this day, and it's much easier than it was now then. Even though back in the day, it wasn't that hard. It still was pretty easy back then. But I don't know. I submit that if there is any retro problem, and again, I'm late to the game on this one. I know it's been a year since this conversation happened, but I was not around for a while and stuff like that. But I would submit that if there is a retro problem, it comes down to accessibility and, frankly, reselling. Like, I hate to be that guy who's like the old man who's shaking his fist at the clouds, but like, it was a problem back then, and I feel like it's a problem now. And it's more acceptable now because I think people have made a platform and have made businesses out of it. Totally cool, do your thing, but like the way that prices have gone up because accessibility has gone down because people have scooped these things up and turned it into a business in the way that they did. Like I think I even used to say in our old stuff, and in a minute I'm going to get to the chat because I can see the chat is popping off and I need to hit that. Back in the day, like I would joke about resellers but I was serious. Like I really had a problem with it. Number one. And then I would joke about emulation. I would always say things like, oh, like when we'd see those like those gaming emulator things, I'd be like, oh, I'm getting emulation sickness or whatever. That was a joke. Like emulation, I think is amazing. I think it's good. I think for preservation, for accessibility, like it changed everything. And it makes everything so much better. I think it's good. But yeah, I would submit that if this gatekeeping, quote unquote, that's happening, if that's a real thing and somebody's experiencing that and it's impacting you in some way, like that sucks and I'm sorry. But from my experience in being in the retro scene for a very long time, in the gaming scene in general, like rather than anybody, if there's any gatekeeping happening, it's happening because of the resale problem. Because you couldn't afford to get, you can't afford to get things nowadays, or it's costing you an arm and a leg just to try to experience something on regular hardware or like on authentic hardware and the authentic software. So maybe I'm out to lunch. Maybe it's a hot take. I don't think it is, but I could be wrong. Like I said, the scene has changed so much since we started the show way back in the day to now. So, okay, let me take a look at this chat because it's been going and I want to get way, way back here.